It's quite wicked that the slave traders never kept a record of the places they were capturing slaves from. Even though their voyages were thoroughly planned and the number of slaves they would capture was decided, the tribes and place records were intentionally ignored. This was done to serve one sinful purpose. The slaves taken to Europe and America would not know who they were when they met in unknown places. In other words, it was to avoid building a bond between the slaves. Not only that, but this was done so the descendants of these enslaved Africans could never trace their roots and always remain confused about which African country their ancestors were from. However, in this modern time, documents are available that hint toward mostly targeted areas of Africa for slave capture, and it can be known which tribes existed in those areas, even if they are no longer there, as they were entirely captured during the transatlantic slave trade. So, what are those African tribes? Welcome to a new episode of Black Afric Diary, a channel where we talk about Black African history, culture, arts, and civilization. It's a place where you will see the real picture of Black Africa, its stories, and the events defining it. In this episode, we will tell you about the 10 African tribes taken into the transatlantic slave trade. Let's get started. Number 10. Chamba People. The Chamba primarily reside in northern Nigeria and Cameroon, a region characterized by diverse ethnic groups and rich cultural heritage. The Chamba are a fascinating group due to their unique historical formation. Their oral history suggests that their identity emerged from the blending of two different but related language groups, the Daka and local speakers. This intermingling happened as these groups migrated and settled in the same areas, leading to the development of a cohesive Chamba identity. Unfortunately, the Chamba people's history is also marked by significant hardship. The Chamba, who had their own distinct cultural and religious practices, were subjected to slave raiding. The intensity of these raids forced the Chamba to seek refuge in the mountainous regions. In these highlands, they organized themselves into a more cohesive and defensive community. This period of turmoil also saw the Chamba engaging in retaliatory attacks against slave trading caravans, showcasing their resilience and determination to protect their people and way of life. Number 9. Wolof People. The Wolof are predominantly found in Senegal, Gambia, and Mauritania. Their origins are somewhat debated among historians, but it is generally believed that they migrated southward from a more northern region into Mauritania and Senegal. Over time, the Wolof established their own kingdoms and even an empire, playing a significant role in the history of West Africa. The Wolof were known for their organizational skills and political structures, which enabled them to create influential and powerful states. However, the Wolof people also faced significant internal and external challenges. Warring among different Wolof factions and neighboring groups led to the enslavement of many Wolof individuals. A segment of Wolof society contends that their first kingdom and founding father originated from the Almoravid Empire, a medieval Berber Muslim dynasty that brought Islam to Senegal. This historical connection emphasizes the deep and complex interactions between the Wolof and the broader Islamic world. Today, the majority of Wolof people are Muslims. Number 8. Aban People. The Aban people, also known as the Brong or Akan, are native to West Africa, particularly in present-day Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. As a part of the broader Akan ethnic group, the Aban boasts a rich cultural heritage, marked by unique social structures and traditions. Unfortunately, during the transatlantic slave trade, the Aban, like many other West African communities, endured immense suffering and disruption from slave raids and the overall system of enslavement. The transatlantic slave trade was an exceptionally brutal and inhumane operation that forcibly transported millions of Africans across the Atlantic to the Americas. This trade was driven by European demand for labor in the New World, which led to the creation of complex networks. These networks made it easier to capture and sell countless individuals, including many Aban. The Aban were among those targeted by these raids. various factions involved in the slave trade attacked Aban communities. Local conflicts and power struggles, coupled with the increasing demand for enslaved people, led to frequent and violent raids. The Aban were not only victims of raids by European slavers, but also caught up in internal disputes, where local leaders, competing for dominance, would capture and sell individuals from rival groups. The Aban lived within the larger Akan-speaking region, a significant source of enslaved individuals. The Akan had established extensive trade networks with European powers such as the Portuguese, Dutch, and later the British and French. These European powers secretly captured enslaved people. Consequently, the Aban, along with other ethnic groups in the region, were caught in these devastating trade networks. The impact on the Aban was severe. Entire communities were devastated, and traditional social structures were dismantled. The forced removal of individuals disrupted family units and societal organization, leaving behind a legacy of trauma and economic loss that has endured for generations. Today, the repercussions of the transatlantic slave trade continue to affect the Aban and their descendants. Number 7. Fulani People. The Fulani are one of the largest ethnic groups in West Africa, a distinction earned by their widespread presence across many West African nations and even into Eastern Africa. You can find Fulani communities from Senegal to the Central African Republic. They are particularly concentrated in Senegal, Guinea, Mali, Niger, Nigeria, and Cameroon, but their reach extends far beyond these regions. The origins of the Fulani are a subject of much scholarly debate. However, the most compelling evidence suggests their roots lie in North Africa. Some scholars argue that the Fulani are one of the original peoples of North Africa, citing ancient wall paintings in Algeria that date back to 6000 BC. However, despite this, they could not be protected from slave raids. During the transatlantic slave trade, the Fulani tribes and villages were attacked, and hundreds of thousands of Fulani men, women, and children were captured and sent to America and Europe as slaves. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black Africa. Let's continue now. Number 6. Mande People. The Mande People, a diverse collection of ethnic groups spread across West Africa, speak languages from the Mande family. It's challenging to pinpoint a single Mande group due to their vast number and dispersion across several countries. However, the Mandinka, also known as the Malinka, are arguably the most prominent Mande group. The Mandinka established one of the largest and most influential empires in West Africa, leaving a lasting impact on the region both culturally and linguistically. Their influence extended to the coastal populations of West Africa, and even some Fulani people have Mandinka ancestry, reflecting extensive cultural exchanges. The term Mandingo, an English distortion of Mandinka, became a popular reference for strong black men, highlighting Mandinka's enduring presence in popular culture. The origins of the Mande are believed to be traced back to the Sahel region further north. Archaeological evidence suggests that the Mande were among the first to build stone settlement civilizations in West Africa, including complex fortified structures in Mauritania. From around 1100 BC to 1600 AD, Mande culture was dominant in West Africa, underscoring their long-lasting influence. However, despite their prominence, the Mande, particularly the Mandinka, were heavily impacted by the transatlantic slave trade. Their powerful empire and extensive trade networks made them victims of this brutal system. As the slave trade intensified, Mandinka communities were raided, and many individuals were forcibly taken into slavery. These raids devastated Mandinka society and disrupted their thriving culture. Number 5. Fawn People. The Fawn, the largest ethnic group in Benin, primarily inhabit the southern region of the country, with populations also in southwestern Nigeria and Togo. The Fawn emerged as a distinct group through the intermarriage of the Aja and Yoruba, creating a unique cultural fusion. In the 17th century, the Fawn established the powerful kingdom of Dahomey, renowned for its fierce female warriors, known as the Dahomey Amazons. These warriors, known for their exceptional military skills and organization, even inspired Dora Milaje in the movie Black Panther. The Dahomey Amazons became legendary figures, showcasing the Fawn's military prowess. During the Atlantic slave trade, the Fawn faced significant challenges. They were both victims and perpetrators in this dark chapter. Many Fawn individuals were captured and sold into slavery, with some ending up in places like Haiti and Trinidad. Despite their suffering, the Fawn's cultural influence persisted. Their religious practices significantly contributed to Haitian Vodou, which played a crucial role in the Haitian Revolution. Enslaved Africans used Vodou to unite and fight for their freedom from French colonial rule, underscoring the enduring impact of Fawn culture on the broader Atlantic world. Number 4. Bongo People. The Bongo, residing along the Atlantic coasts of Central Africa, mainly in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Congo, and Angola, are renowned for establishing one of the most prominent empires in Central Africa, the Kingdom of Congo. By the 13th century, the Bongo had moved closer to the coast from their northeastern origins, becoming one of the first sub-Saharan African groups to convert to Christianity through their interactions with Portuguese traders. However, this early engagement with Europeans brought considerable hardship. The Portuguese, initially attracted by trade opportunities, soon turned aggressive, leading to invasions of the Kingdom of Congo. They captured and enslaved many Bongo, causing widespread devastation. The situation became so dire that the King of Congo sent a desperate plea to the Portuguese monarch, requesting an end to the brutal practices. He highlighted the widespread corruption and the severe depopulation of his land due to illegal enslavement. One particularly poignant story from this period involves Ganga Zumba, the grandson of the King of Congo. Captured and taken to Brazil as a slave, Ganga Zumba refused to accept his fate. In Brazil, he led a significant runaway slave settlement, which became a symbol of resistance and hope. Number 3. The Igbo People. The Igbo people are one of Africa's largest ethnic groups, predominantly located in south-central and southeastern Nigeria. During the Atlantic slave trade, the Igbo were heavily impacted by regional politics and trade dynamics. The Bight of Biafra, a major hub in the slave trade, saw many Igbo people forcibly transported to the Americas. It's estimated that around 13% of all Africans taken to the Americas originated from this area. Number 2. Yoruba People. The Yoruba people, primarily located in southwestern and north-central Nigeria, as well as southern and central Benin, are one of Africa's largest and most influential ethnic groups. Renowned for their rich cultural heritage and significant diaspora presence, particularly in North America, the Yoruba have left a lasting impact on global culture. Historically, the Yoruba emerged as a dominant cultural force in southern Nigeria by the 11th century. Their influence was particularly evident through the Oyo Empire. However, this could not protect them from being targeted for slave raids. European traders seeking to exploit the region orchestrated numerous raids on Yoruba territories. These raids led to the capture and enslavement of many Yoruba people, who were then sold into slavery and dispersed across the Americas. The Yoruba's geographical location, with access to coastal trade routes, made them vulnerable to European slavers. In addition to direct raids by European traders, local conflicts and power struggles often involved Yoruba communities, further contributing to their suffering. The Yoruba were sent to various parts of the Americas, including Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Brazil, Grenada, Trinidad, and Tobago, among others. Despite the tragedy of their displacement, the Yoruba's cultural influence persisted. Their religious practices, including the worship of Orishas, were carried over to the Americas and continue to be celebrated today. Number 1. Mundu People. The Mundu people, primarily located in Angola, have a history deeply connected with the Atlantic slave trade. Believed to have descended from various chiefdoms around the Zambezi River, the Mbundu faced severe exploitation during this period. Historical records, including the Atlas of the Atlantic Slave Trade, reveal that many enslaved Africans from the Congo and Angola regions were of Mbundu origin. The Atlantic slave trade placed the Mbundu in a precarious position. The Congo Empire, which included several Mbundu kingdoms as vassals, became heavily involved in the slave trade. Local rulers and regional conflicts led to the capture and enslavement of many Mbundu individuals. The Portuguese exacerbated the situation by allying with regional enemies of the Mbundu, facilitating their capture and transport into slavery. One prominent figure of resistance during this time was Queen Nzinga. Known for her formidable leadership and efforts to defend her people against Portuguese colonial expansion, Nzinga became a symbol of resistance and resilience. Her efforts highlighted the significant struggle faced by the Mbundu as they sought to protect their land and people from exploitation. The Mbundu's presence in Brazil was notable, with many contributing to the development of Brazilian culture. One of their most significant cultural contributions is capoeira, a martial art that evolved from the practices of enslaved Africans, including many Mbundu. Originally known as Angola, capoeira developed in Brazil and has become a major symbol of Brazilian culture, reflecting the Mbundu's resilience and creativity. What are your thoughts on the slave trade breaking entire African tribes and wiping out some that existed for centuries? Do you feel that present-day Black people in America and Europe can trace their roots back to Africa after knowing about these tribes? In the comments section right below, let us know why these specific tribes were targeted for enslavement. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring videos on Black Africa, its history, rich arts and culture, and things the world should know about. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.